Hello, welcome back to another episode of Read With Me. Hope you've had an amazing weekend, amazing week. Whenever you're watching this, I hope your day or night has been going amazing. I'm yours truly, Isabel Badell from Billionairette, and I'm so excited to share with you Chapter 10 of Cashflow Quadrant. Now, we're approaching the end of this book, and I gotta tell you, I'm feeling a little sad because it's been such a great book. We read Rich Dad Poor Dad the month prior, and it was really awesome. It was like a great overview, like a beginner's book. And then when you get into the cash flow quadrant, he got more nitty gritty with things, which was really great to just dive into. And now that we're approaching the end, like literally we have chapter 10 till I think it's chapter 13, but it's not even really a chapter or chapter 16, but these are very small chapters. I gotta admit, go back to the other videos and really take in all that juice that was provided, because it was incredible. And if you haven't heard, we have a Billionairette Inner Circle where we actually come together once a week to discuss in deeper the actual books at hand. And there's a bit of coaching involved. But most importantly, there's two main things that people do. One, they actually retain the information because we do exercises, weekly exercises that are guaranteed to propel you forward and achieve your goals. Two, you get rewarded for doing the work. So we do a Billionairette of the month every single month, where we reward the winners that show up, are committed to their growth, are always looking forward to just taking their lives to the next level, and they're implementing what we're learning. Because if you can just adjust yourself and you can commit to growth at least 1% a day, you can see gains of 365 if you just, compound that. But if you do compound it, you will see exponential growth over time. Exponential growth. And that's one of my favorite words this year for 2022. It's exponential. Exponential growth, exponential health, exponential wealth, all of that. The last thing about Billionairette that I would say, and I would definitely want to just share with you guys. So we're focusing on three main things. Actually, it's the personal freedom leg and then the financial freedom leg. That's what Billionairette really stands on. And our mission here is to impact the lives of 4 billion souls. And if you're wondering why it's 4 billion, well, if you look at the population today, we're really committed to half of that population in relation to women, because we believe that when women really stand up and take control of their finances, take control of their life, take control of, the situation, we see a whole different dynamic within the community, the family. And what we've been looking into is really the correlation between financial freedom and how women over time have really stepped up and done that. And it's amazing how many billionaires are women. I mean, it's a lot more than yesterday, I can tell you that. But the word billionaire is primarily male. And I'm not here to say like I'm a feminist or none of that, or I'm not trying to put guys down. Guys, we absolutely love you. I absolutely need you. But Billionairette stands for the women that are committed to their growth, committed to their financial freedom, personal freedom, and that are not scared to go out there and get it. And when you do feel scared, you actually lean into it even harder, and you're able to propel yourself forward because you have higher expectations for yourself, you have higher desires, and you believe that it can be achieved. And now more than ever, like with technology, we're able to achieve financial freedom a lot faster. So with that in mind, the financial freedom aspect of Billionaire, we focus on three main things. We're going to focus on crypto, we're going to focus on taxes, and we're going to be focusing on investments. The crypto side is what we're really building out right now, and it's the three main principles of crypto. Well, there's many principles in crypto, but what we're focused on here is we're not going to treat it as like this master class of trading. No. I'm focused on passive income, making sure that our money works when we're sleeping and it works harder for us than we need to work for it. That's what I'm focused on. Then I'm also focused on staking, which means whatever coins that you bring in, you're able to earn interest on that. And we're going to be sharing a couple different variations of that. And then the other one, we have nodes as a service. So the trifecta, which I like to call it, we're going to be diving into all of that within the Billionaire Inner Circle community. So if you're interested in learning more about crypto, staking, passive income, getting money while you sleep and literally waking up. I just took a look at our accounts and I'm like, oh shoot, that's freaking crazy. Waking up to that because we didn't have to do anything. It's a blessing. It's a blessing, and you should receive it too. You should have access to it. You can have access to it. So if you are interested in that, I highly encourage you to check out the link in the description. Go to billionaire.com, billionaire with an ETTE, and check it out. Check it out for yourself. It's a community of like-minded women from all over the world. We're seeking to fill this community up. You can actually join the free community if you want to. Join our Discord. We have some really valuable information in there. Crypto, personal freedom, all of that. So anyways, enough of that intro. I really wanted to connect with you guys and just let you guys know what's up. It's really important for us to be transparent and, most importantly, share with you guys the opportunity that's out there for you. So without further ado, shall we get into it? Shall we? Okay. Well, grab a glass of water, tea, coffee, whatever you would like. Cheers to you. All right, let's get into it. It's going to be chapter 10, Cashflow Quadrant. And it's called Take Baby Steps. Take baby steps. And he begins, you've got to walk before you can run. Most of us have heard the saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Instead, I would say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a baby step. I emphasize this because I have seen too many people attempt to take a great leap forward instead of starting with the baby steps. We have all seen people who are completely out of shape and suddenly decide to lose 20 pounds. They begin a crash diet, go to the gym for 2 hours, and then jog 10 miles. This lasts maybe a week. They lose a few pounds, and then the pain, boredom, and hunger begin to wear away at their willpower and determination. By the third week, their old habits of overeating, avoiding exercise, and watching television are back in control. Instead of taking a great leap forward, I strongly recommend taking a baby step forward. Long-term financial success is not measured by how big your stride is, but by the number of steps, the number of years, and the direction in which you're going. I like that. And something that was like on my mind, I went to sleep thinking about this. The real reason why we began sharing Billionaire in the Billionaire Inner Circle, by the way, the whole crypto and financial freedom thing, is because we invested heavily this, it started last year, the end of 2021, towards the end. We were in Europe and we were like there for 3 months traveling. But while we were traveling, we were, taking different masterminds. We were reading upon, we were taking in all that information that we needed. And while we were actually in Europe, we realized that we didn't have to grind so much in our business. This is like a whole new opportunity to build wealth without having to grind away at like all the nitty-gritty stuff that comes into being an S or having your own business. So it took us a while to actually get to the point where we're like, what we've been learning, we can actually share it with someone. And the people within the billionaire community, they're amazing. And what I really love about them is the fact that they're willing to accept that baby steps will get them to where they want to go, versus just diving into something that's so complex and it doesn't come with an instruction manual. So like it's learning something new. So just being open to long-term financial success that is measured by how many strides you can put in, the number of steps, the number of years you can sustain this activity. Okay, that's the goal here. I'll continue with this. That is the formula for success or failure in any endeavor. When it comes to money, I've seen too many people, myself included, attempt to do too much with too little and then crash and burn. It's hard to take a baby step forward when you first need a ladder to get yourself out of the financial hole you have dug yourself into. So, how do you eat an elephant? Well, this section of the book describes 7 steps to guide you on your path to the right side of the Cashflow Quadrant. With the help of my rich dad, I have worked and acted on these steps since I was 9 years old, and I will continue to follow them for as long as I live. For some people, the steps may seem overwhelming, and they will be if you try to do them all in 1 week. So please begin with baby steps. Dang, I freaking love this. And I don't know if this ever happens to you guys, like if you watch a movie or maybe you read a book and then you might be going to sleep or you might be going about your day and then the book aligns, it like literally submerges into your thoughts. I've never experienced this type of dynamic, but I really, really love it because I never really read. I never was the type to be like, let's get a book and read. So these read with me's have really developed me as it has groomed me as a leader. Like it's been 2 months and we've read 4 books. So, I mean, it's just been incredible. And Vanessa's reading another book. Like, it's just amazing. We're readers now. So cheers to you. Whenever you're reading this, and I know that I'm interrupting the whole flow of this reading, but it's for a reason. I truly believe that when you're reading, you shouldn't feel rushed. You shouldn't feel like you're like, I have to finish this at a specific time and I have to, no. Like, this is almost like self-care. It truly is. I truly believe, and I've associated reading with self-care. If you want to take 60 minutes and just like dive into something for 60 minutes, gift yourself 60 minutes. I know you might be like an S and you're like running around and you have all these things and you have clients and you have appointments and you have kids and you have this and you have that and you also have yourself, honey. You also have yourself. On that note, let's continue, shall we? We have all heard the saying, Rome was not built in a day. The saying I use whenever I find myself feeling overwhelmed by how much I have to learn is, well, how do you eat an elephant? The answer is 1 bite at a time. And that is how I recommend you proceed if you find yourself feeling overwhelmed by how much you may have to learn. in order to make the journey from the east side to the S side, or to the B side onto the I side of the Cashflow Quadrant. Please be kind to yourself and realize that the transition is more than just a mental one. It involves emotional learning. After you take baby steps for 6 months to a year, you're ready to move to walking and then to running. You've got to walk before you can run. This is a path I recommend. If you don't like this path, then you can do what millions of others do who want to get rich quickly, the fast and easy way, which is to buy a lottery ticket. Who knows? It might be your lucky day, but it's definitely not guaranteed, honey. Okay, I love this because I agree with it so much. And if you do agree with that, put it in the comments. I would love to hear what you like. Action beats inaction. To me, one of the primary reasons E's and S's have difficulty moving to the B and I side is because they are too afraid of making mistakes. They often say, I have a fear of failing, or I need more information, or can you recommend another book? Well, their fear or self-doubt is keeping them trapped in their quadrant. I hope that by reading each step and by completing the action steps that appear at the end of each step in the take action section, you will keep moving toward the B and I side. Just doing these 7 steps will open up a whole new world of possibilities and change. Then just keep taking small baby steps. Nike's slogan says, just do it. Unfortunately, our schools also say, don't make mistakes. Millions of highly educated people who want to take action are paralyzed by the emotional fear of making mistakes. One of the most important lessons I have learned as a teacher is that true learning requires mental, emotional, and physical learning. That is why action always beats inaction. If you take action and make a mistake, at least you have learned something, be it mentally, emotionally, or physically. A person who continually searches for the right answer is often afflicted with a disease known as analysis paralysis, which seems to affect many well-educated people. Ultimately, the way we learn is by making mistakes. We learn to walk and ride a bicycle by falling down and then getting back up. People who are afraid of taking action out of fear of making mistakes may be mentally smart, but they are also emotionally and physically handicapped. A number of years ago, there was a study done of rich and poor all around the world to find out how people born into poverty eventually become wealthy. The study found that these people, regardless of where they live, possess these 3 qualities. 1, they maintain a long-term vision and plan. 2, they believe in delayed gratification. And then 3, they use the power of compounding in their favor. So strong. The study found that these people thought and planned for the long term and knew that they would ultimately achieve financial success by holding to a dream or a vision. They were willing to make short-term sacrifices to gain long-term success, which is the basis of delayed gratification. Albert Einstein was amazed at how money could multiply just by the power of compounding. He considered that compounding of money to be one of the most amazing inventions. The study took compounding beyond money. This study took compounding beyond money and found that knowledge and learning gained from each baby step also compounded over the years. People who took no steps at all did not have the leverage of a magnified accumulation of knowledge and experience that comes from compounding. Okay, this is creepy, but this is also really awesome. Remember how I started this video? about like compounding each 1% a day of yourself, like literally he's talking about compounding right now. I didn't know he was going to be talking about compounding. I just woke up with that feeling. Like, how amazing is that? Like, when what you're consuming literally aligns with your intuition and your flow of life and how you're like showing up each and every day. Like, that's a gift. All right. That's spirit. That's amazing. All right. I just had to share that with you guys because that felt great. People who took no steps at all did not have the leverage of a magnified accumulation of knowledge and experience that comes from compounding. The study also found what caused people to go from wealthy to poor. There are many rich families who lose most of their wealth after only 3 generations. Not surprisingly, the study found that these people possess the following 3 qualities. So this is where they go from wealthy to poor. They have short-term vision, they have the desire for immediate gratification, and then they abuse the power of compounding. Today, I meet people who get frustrated with me because they want me to tell them how to make more money immediately. They don't like the idea of thinking long-term. Many are desperately seeking short-term answers because they have money problems today caused by consumer debt and lack of investments due to their uncontrolled desire for immediate gratification. They have the idea of eat, drink, and be merry. This abuses the power of compounding and leads to long-term debt instead of long-term wealth. They want the quick answer. They want me to tell them what to do to acquire great wealth, but they need to understand who they must become first. In other words, too many people are fixated upon the get-rich-quick philosophy of life. I wish these people luck. They're going to need it. Here's a hot tip. Most of us have heard that people who write down their goals are more likely to achieve them. I have attended many seminars and training sessions on the topic of goal setting, and I learned a concept that I have thought about many times over the years. While it is great to have a big long-term dream and wishes, attaining those dreams is a process made up of many small steps. Instead of trying to be an overachiever, be an underachiever. Be content with small steps because each one moves you closer to your bigger goals and dreams. Even today, I find I achieve more by having an underachiever mindset instead of trying to kill myself and be that overachiever. An example of the way I underachieve is that I set a written goal to listen 2 audio tapes a week. I may listen to the same one 2 or more times if it's good, but it still counts towards my weekly goal. Kim and I also have a written goal to attend at least 2 seminars a year on the subjects about the B and I quadrants. We go on vacations with the people who are experts on subjects found in the B and I quadrants. We learn a lot while playing, resting, and dining out. We achieve more with a lot less stress. Those are ways of underachieving and yet still moving towards big, bold dreams. Good point there. The key to making any investment is setting a big goal and approaching it systematically, taking baby steps first, and then gradually increasing the size of your investments as your learning and experience increase. You will want to push yourself beyond your comfort zone, but gradually. That is how Kim and I did it. There's nothing wrong with having smaller goals that lead up to the ultimate goal of financial freedom. The same thing applies to getting into physical shape. I work out with a tough trainer who pushes me to achieve smaller goals on a daily or weekly basis. They increase in intensity as my abilities improve, and together they lead up to achieving a big goal. So dream big, dream big, daring dreams, and then underachieve a little bit each day. I recommend setting attainable daily goals that, when achieved, provide positive reinforcement to help you stay on path to the big goal of moving from the left side of the cash flow quadrant to the right side. If you want to be rich, you've got to change the rules. I have often been quoted as saying, "The rules have changed." When people hear those words, they nod their head in agreement and say, "Yes, the rules have changed. Nothing is the same anymore." But then they go on and do the same old thing. Here's the industrial age financial statements. When I teach how to get your financial life in order, I start by asking students to fill out a personal financial sheet. It often becomes a life-changing experience. Financial statements are much like x-rays. Both let you see what your unassisted eye cannot see after filling out their statements. It is easy to see who has financial cancer and who is financially healthy. Almost always, the ones with financial cancer are those with industrial age ideas. Why do I say that though? Well, because in the industrial age, people did not have to think about tomorrow. If you work hard, your employer or the government would take care of all your tomorrows. That is why so many of my friends and family always told me to get a job with the government or to make sure I got a job with an excellent retirement plan. Those are words of advice based on the industrial age rules, and an entitlement mentality. Although the rules have changed, many people have not changed their financial rules. They are still spending like there's no need to plan for tomorrow. When I read a person's financial statement, it is easy to see what tomorrow might look for them. What does your tomorrow look like? Keeping things very, very simple. This is what I look for in a personal financial statement. And he shares this. Where your expenses are in the today column, your assets are for tomorrow, but your liabilities are for yesterday. People with no assets that generate cash flow are likely to have tomorrows that are filled with struggles and stress. When I find people who have no assets, they are usually working hard for a paycheck to pay their bills. If you look at most people's expense column, the two biggest monthly expenses are taxes and debt service for long-term liabilities. Their expense statements look like this: income on the top, blank, expenses at the bottom, and taxes are approximately 50%, debt is approximately 35%, and then they have living expenses. In other words, the government and the bank gets paid before they do. People who cannot get control of their cash flow generally have no financial future and will find themselves in serious trouble in the next 5 years. Why? Well, a person who only operates in the E quadrant has little protection from taxes and debt. Even an S can do something about these two financial cancers. If it doesn't make sense to you, I would suggest reading or rereading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which should make this and the next few chapters easier to understand. I really do agree with that statement though. If this is kind of like really not connecting with you right now, or maybe it hit a nerve, well, watch the other videos of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad Financial Freedom playlist. They're all in there. The entire book is in there. And it's really, really powerful how the overview really does make sense for where this is going. Okay, so let's get into the next part. 3 cash flow patterns. As stated in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, there are 3 basic cash flow patterns. One for the rich, one for the poor, and one for the middle class. This is the cash flow pattern of the poor, where they have a job, it goes into their income, and then everything goes out in the expense. They have absolutely no assets or liabilities. Now, this is the cash flow pattern of the middle class. It's a bit intense. It goes from a job, income, it goes under directly back into liabilities, and then everything shoots out the expense column. And their assets are pretty much black. This cash flow pattern is considered typical and smart by our society. After all, the people who have this pattern probably have high-paying jobs, nice homes, cars, and credit cards. This is what my rich dad called the working class dream. When adults play with my cash flow board game, they usually struggle mentally. Why? Well, because they are being introduced to financial literacy, which means understanding the numbers and words of money. The game takes several hours to play, not because it is long, but because the players are learning a completely new subject. It is almost like learning a foreign language. But the good news is that this new literacy can be learned quickly, and then the game picks up speed. The more frequently people play the game, the smarter and faster they get. And they have fun in the process. Something else also happens. Because they are becoming financial literate, many begin to realize that they are in a financial trouble situation, even though the rest of society thinks they are well off. A middle class cash flow pattern used to work in the industrial age, but it could be disastrous in the information age. Many people, once they successfully learn and understand the cash flow game, begin to seek new answers. Playing the game becomes a financial wake-up call about their personal financial health. Just as a mild heart attack is an alert about a person's physical health. After playing cash flow several times, some people begin to change their thinking patterns to that of the rich. This is the cash flow pattern of the rich. Your assets become your income. Your assets become your income. This is the thought pattern Rich Dad wanted his son and me to have as young children, which is why he took away our paychecks and refused to give us raises. He never wanted us to become addicted to the idea of a high-paying job. He wanted us to develop the thought pattern of thinking only in assets and income coming in the form of capital gains, dividends, rental income, and residual income from businesses and royalties. For people who want to be successful in the information age, the faster they develop their financial and emotional intelligence, the faster they will be, and the faster they will feel more financially secure and find financial freedom. It's both, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we have personal freedom and financial freedom in Billionaireette. I love this. Every single time that I come into why did we choose personal and financial freedom? Well, because both are needed. You can't just get financially free if you don't have the emotional IQ or EQ built up, So in a world of less and less job security, this cash flow pattern makes much more sense to me. And to achieve this pattern, a person needs to see the world from the B and I quadrants, not from the E and S quadrants. I also call this an information age financial statement because the income is generated strictly from information, not hard work. In the information age, the idea of hard work is not the same as it was in the agrarian and industrial ages. In the information age, the people who work the hardest physically will be paid the least. It is already true today, and it has been true throughout history. However, today, when people say, don't work hard, work smart, Well, they do not mean to work smart in the E or S quadrants. They actually mean to work smart in the B or I quadrants. This is the information age thinking, which is why financial and emotional intelligence are vital today and will be ever more in the future. Couldn't agree more with you, Robert. So what is the answer? Well, obviously my answer is to re-educate yourself to think like a rich person. In other words, think and look at the world from the B or I quadrant. However, the solution is not as simple as going back to school and taking a few courses. To be successful in the B and I quadrant requires financial intelligence, systems intelligence, emotional intelligence, and so much more. These things cannot be learned in school. The reason these intelligences are hard to learn is because most adults are wired to do the hard work and spend mode. Okay, the reason these intelligences are hard to learn is because most adults are wired to the hard work and spend mode of life. When they feel financial anxiety, they hurry off to work and work hard. They come home and hear about the stock market going up and down. Their anxiety grows, so they go shopping for a new house or car, or they play golf to avoid the anxiety. The problem is that the anxiety returns on Monday morning. How do you start thinking like a rich person? Well, people often ask me how to get started thinking like a rich person. I always recommend starting small and seeking education rather than running out and jumping into investing. If they are serious about learning and retraining themselves to think like a rich person, I recommend my Cashflow board game. I created the game to teach financial intelligence. It gives the mental, physical, and emotional training that is required to make the gradual change from thinking like a poor and middle class person to thinking like a rich person. It teaches people to think about what my rich dad said was important, which is not a large paycheck or a big house, but the accumulation of cash producing assets. Cash flow, not money, relieves anxiety. Cash flow, not money, relieves anxiety. Financial struggle and poverty are really financial anxiety problems. There are mental and emotional loops that keep people stuck in what I call the rat race. Unless the mental and emotional hooks are broken, the pattern remains intact. I worked with a banker to break his pattern of financial struggle. While I'm certainly not a therapist, I have had experience breaking my own financial habits instilled by my family. The banker made a good living, but he was always in a sort of financial trouble. He had a beautiful family, 3 cars, a big house, and a vacation home. To the world, he looked like a prosperous banker. But when I looked at his financial statement, I discovered he had a financial cancer that would be terminal in a few years if he did not change his ways. The first time he and his wife played Cashflow, he struggled and fidgeted almost uncontrollably. His mind wandered and he could not seem to grasp the game. After 4 hours of play, he was still stuck. Everyone else had completed the game, but he was still in the rat race. As we put the game away, I asked him what was going on. His only answer was that the game was too hard, too slow, and too boring. I reminded him about what I had told him before the game started. Games reflect behavior. So in other words, a game is like a mirror that allows you to look at yourself. That statement angered him. So I backed off and I asked him if he was still committed to getting his financial life in order. He said he was, so I invited him and his wife, who loved the game, to come play again with an investment group I was coaching. A week later, he reluctantly showed up. This time, a few lights began to go on in his head. For him, the accounting part was easy, so he was naturally neat and tidy with his numbers, which is important for the game to be valuable. But Now he was beginning to understand the world of business and investing. He could also finally see with his mind, his own life's patterns, and what he was doing to cause his own financial struggle. So after 4 hours, he still did not finish the game, but he was beginning to learn. As he left this time, he invited himself back. By the third meeting, he was a new man. He was now in control of the game, his accounting, his investments, his confidence soared, and this time he successfully exited the rat race and was on the fast track. When he left, he purchased the game and said, "I'm going to teach my kids." By the fourth meeting, he told me his personal expenses were down. He had changed his spending habits and was being more careful with his credit cards, and he was taking an active interest in learning to invest and build his asset column. His thinking was now on track to make him an information age thinker. His thinking was now on track to make him an information age thinker. At the fifth meeting, he played Cashflow 202, the advanced game for the people who have mastered Cashflow 101. He was now ready to and eager to play the fast and risky game that true B's and I's play. The best news was that he took control of his financial future. The best news that he took control of his financial future. This man was completely different from the one who had asked me to make cash flow easier the first time he played. A few weeks later, instead of wanting things to be easier, he was actively seeking bigger challenges and was optimistic about his future. He had re-educated himself, not only mentally, but also emotionally, through the power of repetitive learning processes that come from a game. In my opinion, games are a superior teaching tool because they require the player to become fully engaged in the learning process while having fun. Playing a game involves a person mentally, emotionally, and physically. Interesting. And it's so true. If you are a kinesthetic learner and you do feel like, sometimes there's different ways that you tend to learn. Like I know I'm a visual learner. I need to, if I hear something, if I see something, I need to either write it down and then literally I'll draw a diagram or something. And then that's when it hits me. That's when it clicks. And sometimes just by reading it or just seeing it one time, it doesn't click. I have to literally write it down and do it. Some people, they can look at something, get it, run with it. Cool. That's awesome. But the point is that if you don't have your emotional, mental, and physical combination involved, then let me just go back to here. Long-term financial success is not measured by how big your strides are, but the number of steps, the number of years, and the direction in which you're moving. Those three things, emotional, physical, and mental, are the three strides that you need to work on over the years to gain that financial education, that financial wherewithal, the financial and emotional and personal freedom that is required. It's no joke. And people swear that just because of technology, you can get rich like that. And those are typically the people that are buying lottery tickets and hoping that they would win. No offense to those that buy lottery tickets, awesome, but just don't treat your life as a lottery ticket. You're not. You're a gift. So continue to unwrap it, continue to open it up, and continue to explore that gift, because as your gift becomes even more and more valuable as you continue to progress forward, it's more real, So with that in mind, check out the next video where we're going to dive into chapter 11. It's a fairly short chapter, but it actually has really, really great information because it's more of like a visual chapter. So I'll make sure to have some of this, like the income statements are in there, the balance sheet, all of that is involved in chapter 11. So I'll make sure to fill out those information steps in the membership. So if you want to actually get exact information that's in chapter 11, it's time to mind your own business, which is step 1 of the 7 steps that he's going to go into for the rest of the chapters in this book. He's literally sharing a template of what, as I mentioned, an income statement and a balance sheet looks like. So if you want a piece of that, go ahead, check out Billionaire at Inner Circle. It's in the description. You can actually get in for free and join us in the Discord group where we have a lot of really great information. And as a matter of fact, maybe, just maybe, we'll throw in all these graphs in that book. I mean, in Discord chat for free. So if you enjoyed this session of Read With Me, make sure to hit the like, hit the subscribe, share this with a friend. I highly encourage you to do so because after all, this like, this share, this comment, this subscribe, it's for you. It's not really for me. But I'm really excited for what's to come and I'm really excited that you're here. So have a beautiful rest of your day and talk to you soon.